The placement of Uranus in the sixth house of a natal chart is a profound indicator of an individual who cannot, and will not, fit into the conventional machinery of the modern workplace. In astrology, the sixth house governs the mundane details of life, daily routines, physical health, service, and the relationship between the body and the mind. When Uranus, the planet of rebellion, sudden insight, and eccentricity, takes up residence here, the standard 9-to-5 lifestyle becomes more than just a bore, it becomes a cage. The professional rebel. For the sixth house Uranian, the concept of a boss is often a source of friction. Uranus demands autonomy. These individuals are usually the first to suggest a radical new software, a complete restructuring of the department, or a remote work arrangement long before it becomes a global trend. They are the disruptors of the workplace. The traditional corporate ladder rarely appeals to them. Instead, they thrive in environments that offer high levels of intellectual stimulation and freedom. Many find their niche in technology, social activism, or niche freelance fields where they can set their own hours. If forced into a rigid, repetitive routine, the Uranian energy will eventually short-circuit, leading to sudden resignations or unexpected conflicts that force a change. They don't just want to do the job, they want to reinvent how the job is done. Health and the nervous system. The sixth house also dictates our physical well-being. Uranus is a high-voltage planet, and its presence here can manifest as a highly sensitive nervous system. These individuals may experience erratic health patterns, sudden bouts of energy followed by total exhaustion, or mysterious symptoms that seem to appear and disappear without a clear medical explanation. There is often a strong connection between the mind and the body for these natives. Stress isn't just a feeling, it is a literal electrical surge that can disrupt their digestion or sleep. Because Uranus rules the unconventional, these individuals often gravitate toward holistic or fringe healing modalities. They might find that traditional medicine fails to capture the complexity of their constitution, leading them to experiment with biohacking, acupuncture, or energy healing. The key to their health is usually found in maintaining a flexible routine that respects their need for sudden rest and mental stimulation. The routine of no routine. The greatest paradox of this placement is the routine of no routine. While the sixth house traditionally seeks order, Uranus seeks chaos. This results in a person who functions best when their daily life is unpredictable. They may eat at different times every day, work best in the middle of the night, or find that they are most productive during short bursts of intense focus rather than sustained effort. To an outsider, their life might look disorganized, but there is a lightning bolt logic to it. They are often incredibly efficient when they are inspired, completing in 2 hours what might take someone else a full day. However, once the inspiration fades, they cannot be forced to continue. Learning to ride these waves of productivity rather than fighting them is the primary developmental task for someone with this placement. Service and innovation. Ultimately, the sixth house is the house of service. With Uranus here, the individual is called to serve humanity through innovation. They are often the ones who see the systemic flaws that everyone else ignores. Whether they are refining a technical process or advocating for better labor conditions, their contribution to society is rooted in the new. They are here to break the old habits of the collective and introduce a more liberated, efficient, and conscious way of living the daily grind. Uranus in the sixth house creates a person who is a lightning rod for change in the most practical areas of life. By embracing their need for independence and honoring the unique rhythms of their body, they turn the mundane into a laboratory for the future. To delve deeper into Uranus in the sixth house is to explore the intersection of genius and the grind. While the initial impulse of this placement is rebellion against the mundane, the long-term journey is about the sanctification of the eccentric. This placement suggests that an individual's path to spiritual and personal growth isn't found on a meditation cushion or in a distant land, but in the very way they organize their desk, treat their coworkers, and listen to the hum of their own biology. The psychology of the non-standard worker. One of the more nuanced psychological layers of Uranus in the sixth house is the inherent feeling of being an outsider within one's own industry. These individuals often possess a peripheral vision for systems. Where others see a functioning workflow, the sixth house Uranian sees the bottlenecks, the obsolescence, and the untapped potential. This can lead to a specific type of professional loneliness. They are often years ahead of their peers in terms of methodology. If they are in a supportive environment, they are hailed as visionaries. In a restrictive one, they are labeled as difficult or unpredictable. The challenge is to find a middle ground where their radical ideas can be translated into a language that the common world can use. They are the bridge between the future and the present-day functional world. The body as an antenna. If we look at the physical body through the lens of Uranus in the sixth, the body ceases to be a machine and becomes a high-fidelity antenna. These natives often have a sixth sense about their own health long before clinical tests show a result. Because Uranus rules electricity and the higher mind, there is a tendency for the mental to override the physical. This can lead to a disconnection from the body's basic needs, forgetting to eat or hydrate because they are caught in a whirlwind of a new project. The nervous system can become fried if they do not consciously ground themselves. Physical activities that involve rhythm and grounding, such as walking in nature or repetitive, tactile hobbies, are essential to prevent the Uranian voltage from causing burnout. Service through social reform. While the sixth house is often associated with menial service, Uranus elevates this to social reform. These individuals are rarely content just helping one person at a time. They want to fix the system that made the help necessary in the first place. They are often drawn to labor unions, workplace advocacy, or the development of technologies that liberate people from drudgery. There is a deep-seated desire to see the working man freed from the shackles of repetitive, soul-crushing labor. In this sense, Uranus here is a humanitarian placement. They serve by being the glitch in the system that eventually forces the system to upgrade. The evolutionary goal, radical presence. The evolutionary goal for someone with Uranus in the sixth house is to realize that freedom is a daily practice. It is not something achieved by quitting a job or moving to a new city. It is achieved by bringing a quality of waking up to every small task. When they stop fighting the concept of routine and start creating a routine that is uniquely, authentically theirs, they find their power. They prove to the world that one can be both reliable and radical, both productive and free. Their life becomes a living experiment in how to live in the modern world without being consumed by its mechanical nature. They don't just work, they vibrate at a frequency that reminds everyone around them that there is always a different, better, and more liberated way to exist. When Uranus transits your natal sixth house, the universe begins a radical beta test on the architecture of your daily life. If the natal placement describes a personality that is naturally rebellious, the transit describes a multi-year period, usually about 7 years, where the external world forces you to overhaul your routines, your health, and your relationship to labor. It is often a time of sudden strikes and electric awakenings that can be as exhilarating as they are destabilizing. The collapse of the old grind. The most immediate effect of Uranus entering the sixth house is the sudden intolerable nature of business as usual. If you have been working a job that is soul-crushing, repetitive, or overly restrictive, this transit will often act as the detonator. You might find yourself quitting on a whim, or perhaps an unexpected layoff forces you out of a stagnant position. However, Uranus doesn't just take away, it clears space for independence. During this transit, you are likely to gravitate toward freelancing or contract work. The desire to own your time becomes a necessity rather than a luxury. Technology and innovation. You may find yourself suddenly proficient with new tools or drawn to industries like tech, aviation, or social activism. Non-linear productivity. You move away from the standard hours and toward a system where you work when inspiration strikes, realizing that your output is higher when it is unforced. The body is a lightning rod. Physically, a Uranus transit to the sixth house can be one of the most sensitive periods for the nervous system. Because the sixth house rules the physical container, the high-voltage energy of Uranus can manifest as erratic energy levels. You may experience spikes of extreme productivity followed by sudden brownouts where your body demands total rest. Stress-related symptoms, issues like insomnia, skin rashes, or digestive upsets can appear out of nowhere. These are usually the body's way of signaling that the current lifestyle is too rigid or stressful. Unconventional healing. This is the ideal time to explore new age or alternative therapies. Biohacking, breathwork, or acupuncture often prove more effective during this transit than traditional methods, as your body is vibrating at a frequency that responds well to energy-based interventions. The glitch in the routine. The sixth house is the house of how we do what we do. Uranus here introduces a glitch into your habitual patterns. You may find that your old morning rituals no longer work, or that your domestic responsibilities suddenly change, perhaps through a move or a change in family dynamics. The goal of this transit is flexibility. Uranus is teaching you to live in a state of dynamic equilibrium. If you try to hold on to a rigid schedule during this time, the transit will feel like a series of annoying interruptions. If you lean into the chaos and remain light on your feet, you will discover a much more efficient way to exist that leaves room for spontaneity and genius. This transit is ultimately a liberation from drudgery. By the time Uranus exits your sixth house, you will likely have a completely different relationship with your body and your work. You are being upgraded to a version of yourself that doesn't need a manager to be productive or a strict diet to be healthy. You are learning to listen to the unique, electric pulse of your own life. If things seem to be breaking down, it is only because they were too brittle to support the new, more authentic life you are building. Don't fight the change, ride the lightning. Subscribe, like, and share.